bump, 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 ba-da-dum, bump, bump,
bump.
ring. All right, kind of a lackluster Bindi on this Thursday morning. Welcome to the Blue Review, presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant with Greg Bergman and Parker Bell. Well, gentlemen, that sucked.
Not great, Bob.
Not great. The Dodgers lose Game 3 of the NLDS to the Phillies, 8-2, the final score. We will get into everything that happened. Greg, you and I were there in person last night, so we can dive into kind of what we saw. And Parker, you can kind of give us the view from what it looked like on television a little bit. Already, folks in the chat. A lot of conversation going on in the chat, so we'll certainly incorporate some of that as well. But want to start this off, as we always do, by thanking the folks at LAX. They are transforming the travel experience. They're saving guests time. You can get more information at flylax.com/transforminglax. All right, so 8-2, the final score. On a night where, Greg, we were talking before the show, we actually talked about it in the text chain a little bit last night as it was happening, but a night where Yoshinobu Yamamoto just didn't have his best stuff, and credit the Phillies for making life hard on him yesterday.
Yeah, that's all it pretty much is. I mean, they still kept it close with Yamamoto, got 3-1, and actually the bullpen until Kershaw, which we can get to, was actually pretty good. They held that 3-1 lead for quite some time, but Yamamoto did not have it at all. Even from the very, very beginning, even in that first inning, it didn't feel like he had it. His splitter was in the dirt every single time. He was giving up long fly balls. He didn't have swing and miss stuff. The strikeouts, he was at 1. I think he had 2 total, and that one came out very, very late in that fourth inning, and it just didn't really look good for Yamamoto. That was kind of, he battled and he did what he could, but it just didn't have it yesterday, and you could see it from the very, very first inning.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the long fly ball. I was there last night.
Multiple.
I saw it. I was like, not great, but sort of hoping he could get through it. I mean, he got through the first 3 innings in just 36 pitches, so the pitch count was low, and I was just kind of waiting for, it just to kick in, that maybe, eventually he would find something, and it just never really happened.
No.
Yeah.
It's very much settle in. Come on, settle in. Right. And it just never settled in.
Just never quite got there. I mean, so it's certainly disappointing, but with the run Dodgers starting pitching has had since the last, almost month of the regular season. As much as you don't want it, a lackluster outing was probably inevitable at some point. I mean, Parker, I think the other part of this is credit Phillies pitching, because between Aaron Nola going through the lineup once and then Ranger Suarez for the bulk of the night, I don't know that they were lights out, but they certainly did enough to kind of keep the Dodgers off balance and keep them from getting any real offense generated.
Yeah, you have the Nola situation's tough because, I mean, I don't want to hark too much on Ohtani this episode. The offense has been a struggle, but to start the game off with, of course, the fly out, it is what it is. But then for Mookie to do what he's been doing and nobody to capitalize after you get that triple on Nola, who obviously has been struggling all year, that was just a little disheartening to let Nola get through two clean innings. And then when Suarez came in, immediately Tommy jumped the gun and they had it, and it looked like, okay, here's this Dodgers offense. And, he found his groove and actually dominated. So credit to the Phillies pitchers. The Dodgers just looked a little lost out there, and hey, I mean, it happens, but I mean, it's just when you see Yamamoto have a good, obviously, like 3 innings, just like Suarez and them did, where it's like, oh, they don't look great, but they're getting through it. You would think that things would go a different way, but as soon as that Titanic swing happened, guys, you could just tell that was the icing on the cake. Yamamoto was rattled is probably, being kind.
I mean, Kyle Schwarber hit a ball halfway to Glendale yesterday.
That left the yard.
It hit the roof on the right field pavilion and skipped over. Although somebody found it and threw it back, so that was
good,
fun.
Good.
But that was an absolute monster shot that Kyle Schwarber hit. That's the other thing, though, that sort of makes me a little bit queasy, Greg, is Kyle Schwarber hitting, not just a monster shot, but starting to wake up, right? Bryce Harper getting hits, Alec Boehm, swinging the bat a little bit, Trey Turner, because the top of the Phillies lineup had been dead for the first 2 games of the series. I'm hoping that this was just sort of a team with its back against the wall and coming out swinging, but it's bad news, I think, if those guys at the top of the lineup start to wake up.
Oh no, 100%. But I mean, Aaron Judge did the same thing the day before with the Yankees, and then they lost yesterday. So hoping it's that kind of situation. But it was them; they were going to get hot, and sweeping the Phillies was not going to happen. I never thought that they were going to sweep the Phillies. I was extremely surprised we came back from Philly 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
So this was just I'm not happy they lost by any means, but I wasn't kind of surprised. I really thought Yamamoto maybe would probably pitch better, but that was surprising. But I mean, the top of that lineup is going to hit. They're going to do what they want. It's going to have some moments. I just want to go back to the first inning real fast.
Yep.
That was that was the moment for me. With Aaron Nola, you had first and third and 1 out. Teo not being able to get the ball into the outfield or even put the ball into play to do something there, and then getting nothing out of that. You could have run him right there, and then it would have changed everything. Not getting anything in that, and you could see that happening because he was on the ropes. He was over 20 pitches. He had first and third, nobody out there, or 1 out. That was your moment to strike and really put this game out, and they just weren't able to come away with it.
Yeah, that definitely was a big moment there in the ball game. I was sort of hoping that at least the next time around they could build on it. I knew they weren't going to see Nola more than one time through the batting order. I think that was pretty obvious from the beginning, but you're hoping, okay, well, they're seeing the ball. It looks like they are getting on base. So even if they missed that opportunity, maybe they could come back and get him the second time, but that wasn't the case. And as soon as, look, that second inning, they immediately got Ranger Suarez up, and you're like, okay, well, this might have been your chance.
Yeah, it was.
But even then, Tommy Edman hitting the home run off Suarez on the very first pitch he threw, it was like, all right, well, hey, maybe something's happening here. But unfortunately, it was not the case.
Yeah, you can't give up 3 in the next inning. Once you do take that lead, it's it's a shutdown inning, and you have to shut down that inning.
Yeah, I mean, that inning started with the mammoth Schwarber home run, but then you get Bryce Harper gets a hit, Alec Boehm gets a hit, and then you have the Pages throw from center field. So we can kind of debate this, because I'm of the opinion, I'm like with Jeff Spiegel last night, who said that he didn't mind the decision. It's just, if it's a good throw, or if Muncy picks it at third base, you do get the out at third. The result obviously was terrible, but I'm kind of with Jeff. I thought it was a decent attempt. It just went sideways on him.
So for me, I was on the third base side. So when I saw it, I mean, yeah, I was like, oh, maybe he can get him, but at the same time, like it's a 1-1 game. You can keep who was it that hit it? I can't think of it
was
right
it Boehm
now.
that hit that ball?
Was it Boehm? Sure, whoever hit it was a Boehm. You keep him at first. If you throw to second, you keep him at first. Or was it Turner? I don't remember. One of them at first, Harper. And then you have a guy at third. Huh?
Harper was going to third, and I think it was
Harper was going to third. So so it's first and third. You keep him at third. You don't get that run. Then the ball bounces away. I think in those situations with a tie game, you keep it in play at that second base spot and just keep it at first and third. Instead, not only does it go over, it then he moves up to get a double. Harper goes home because it bounces over, and then Boehm moves over to third, and that fly ball, the fly ball gives it up to third. So it's, there's so many things that happen. I think in those situations, just don't go too hard. Don't be so aggressive. Keep it at that 1-1 score and hopefully get out of it. And then it's a completely different game. Come back and put up runs. So then you're down, and it just feels a little bit different. By being down 3-1, it changed their entire bullpen strategy.
Yeah. And that to me was maybe one of the more frustrating parts of the night, is that, the Dodgers really didn't get into the Phillies bullpen at all. You saw Nola as the opener, and then Suarez got you through 6, 7, through the 7th inning, I think. And my hope had been, even if the Dodgers didn't win last night, that they would force the Phillies to have to go into that bullpen, knowing that there was going to be another game today. But obviously that didn't happen. Rob Thompson kind of got to manage that game the way he wanted. And so he still has a lot. Because look, at one point, when it was still 3-1, Duran was up in the Phillies bullpen. And I was sort of wondering, were they going to try to bring him in for a 2-inning save, which, again, even if the Phillies had won, Duran for 2 innings means he's effectively burned for today. But instead, they get to hold him back. He's available if they need him in the ballgame this afternoon. The other part of this, and we saw this immediately in the chat as soon as we logged on, the Kershaw outing last night. Parker, I was surprised that they brought him back for a second inning. He comes in out of the pen. He works through a little bit of trouble, but has a clean inning in that first inning he pitched. I did not think that Dave Roberts would come back with him for a second inning. That's kind of when everything went sideways yesterday.
So, and I know Greg has counters to a lot of what's going on in the chat, but I think just what I saw and the unfortunate part was, I texted in the chat, oh, well, I guess it's Tanner Scott time. And then we get the notification later. Roberts lets us know that he wasn't at the ballpark for personal reasons. So we hope all is well. But that was a position where you would have just thrown out a throwaway arm, aka Scott. And because he was not there, you wanted to keep some of the arms that were still available and needed for this next, obviously today. So Kershaw had to kind of eat one, and it's the Honeywell situation. And it's tough to see a Hall of Famer in that situation, in that spot, and you hope that it's not the last time you see him in the playoffs, not to be too much of a downer, but it very well may be, and it was a bad lasting image. But yeah, I don't know, Greg, I'm curious what your thoughts were from the stadium, because just from watching the TV, you saw as soon as he finished that first inning of work, he shook his head. He was like, damn, I'm lucky I got through that.
Yeah, he was lucky to get through it. I think they were just going to go with him for that spot because they didn't want to use anybody else. The only other arm that I could have possibly seen come out there was Vezia, and even Vezia has been used already a lot in this postseason in times when really nobody should be out of the bullpen. I don't think anybody would have been. I thought Dave Roberts was in a no-win situation. You bring him back out there and see what happens, or you bring in bullpen and they get blown up, and then you get. Why didn't you just stay with Kershaw? That's why he's a starting pitcher. He can go multiple innings. It's all hindsight. So when it happened, when he came out for the second inning, it's like, okay, look, this is just what he's going to do. He's just going to ride Kershaw, just hopefully keep it close. And if he doesn't, you don't have to use anybody. You don't have to use Glasnow. You don't have to use Sasaki. You don't have to use some of these other guys. So, I mean, who else did you want? It wasn't going to be Edgardo Henriquez. It wasn't going to be Vezia was the only other guy that I could have seen coming out there. And they want him. If Kershaw gets through that, he wants Vezia for the top of the lineup when it's close. I mean, it's in my mind, that's a lefty with those two lefties at the top is makes the most sense. So going with Kershaw there, you're just going with your guy, you're going with your GOAT, you're going with what everybody's been wanting. This is the piggyback, right? You go have somebody else, have your starter go a couple of innings, and he wasn't able to get through that second inning. But I'm with you, Parker. That's the sad thing for me. I'm more sad for Kershaw that the last image of him is going to be. I don't know if he's going to pitch again this postseason. If he doesn't, if that's the last thing we see, another playoff blow up, that's just a terrible way for him to go out. Even though he's going to go right to Canton.
Canton.
Cooperstown.
I mean,
Cooperstown.
I guess he could stop in Canton on the way.
He can if he wants to, but Cooperstown would be better for him.
Probably works out a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, I know that's what people are going to talk about, and I know that was a lot of the chatter on social media that, is this going to be the last thing we see of Clayton Kershaw? I mean, for the haters out there, which shout out to Mr. Classic. I see him back in the chat today.
They lost. I mean, that's how that works.
I know for the haters, it was kind of like, hey, man, this is a perfect punctuation to his legacy, a guy who consistently struggled in the playoffs, having another playoff blow up. I think for those of us who have been fans of Clayton Kershaw, it is going to be tough. I don't think, at least personally, I don't believe that it will be the overarching memory of his career. But yeah, definitely a tough way to see him sort of finish out here potentially if we don't see him again in the postseason. So, all right. So looking now to the task at hand, right? I mean, the Dodgers still have a 2-1 lead despite all the frustration that was Game 3. still just needs one more win to get on to the NLCS. Your feeling about this, though, Greg? I mean, does it feel like the Phillies snatched back some momentum? I know you said you didn't expect a sweep, but maybe this is just living in the moment. It feels like now, they're off the ropes and swinging again.
So they did take back a little bit of momentum. I still think they can win. The issue is that of all the starting pitchers, we're putting out our fourth best starting pitcher in Tyler Glasnow, who, when he's on, can be completely dominant.
That's a hell of a your fourth best starting pitcher.
Right, it's an amazing fourth best starter, but also when he is not on, he walks a lot of guys. He gives up home runs. He gives up runs. So I'm not as confident in Glasnow in this game as I would be. I was confident in Yamamoto, and he wasn't great last night. So I'm not as confident in Glasnow tonight. I do feel still really good about Ohtani on Saturday if it gets that far. But Glasnow is a great guy to have out there. He just has to be on. He can't be walking guys. He can't be putting up 4, 5, 6 walks. And he needs to have his strikeout stuff, and he needs to be going 7 innings. I mean, he needs to be the guy that we have seen that he can be when everything is going right. It's when the things are going a little bit wrong that I worry about. But he can be that guy. He just has to be that guy.
Well, remember, Greg, the only time Glasnow saw the Phillies in the regular season, I mean, he did pitch, in relief in game 1 of the series. But remember, we saw him in the regular series in Philly on a slightly drizzly day, and the mound got a little bit gummy. Yeah. And he sort of lost his mind a little bit and had to leave after 2 innings. The good news is he's in Los Angeles. There's no rain in the forecast. So as long as the grounds crew does its job as it normally does, hopefully that is taken out of play. And he can just sort of focus on pitching or whatever.
Or whatever. Quickly, just for Glasnow, and I guess just this Game 3 preview in general, I do want to say that the Dodgers have the advantage just based off of anything can happen when there's short rests from Sanchez. They got to him in that 6th. I do think that the Phillies took him out a little early in the 6th, but it's because obviously they knew, we're going to need him if we get to 4. So I understand that. But Glasnow, in terms of just strategy, Dodgers have less or the Phillies have more adjustments that they have to make that the Dodgers do because they already saw Sanchez. They kind of know how to attack it today, whereas the Phillies only saw Glasnow for a little bit. So as long as, like you said, Greg, he's not walking guys, I'd say still advantage Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. And you mentioned the part that I was going to was going to is that Sanchez. This will be the 4th time. This will be the 4th time the Dodgers have seen him this year. Twice in the regular season, once in this series already. So for a lot of these guys, it's another chance to kind of figure out or revisit what they have seen from Sanchez, make adjustments, and make it happen. And Greg, for me, it starts kind of at the top of the lineup because Shohei has been on the struggle bus in this series. The Phillies have kept him off balance. He is not seeing the ball well. He struck out his first 5 plate appearances in this series. 4 of them, I think, were looking. But even when he's swinging the bat, Greg, he doesn't look. It's not that same, confident Ohtani swing. I mean, they've really done a good job of neutralizing him so far.
Yeah, I think Ohtani's always been kind of it's weird to say it this way and say it with Travis all the time. He's kind of a guess hitter. But he guesses correctly so often that it's okay. But when he's missing, he's missing badly. And he's always been a big strikeout guy. The strikeouts I'm not worried about the strikeouts because that's just who he is. He strikes out a ton because he has such a big swing. But when he gets a hold of it, it can go out of the yard just like Schwarber.
He almost got one last night too.
It was right up against the wall. Yeah. I totally thought that was going out. So he'll be okay. I figure that he'll be fine. The thing that I want to know about it for you guys, what do they think the lineup looks like tonight? Do they go back to Ben Rortvedt in catching Glasnow and having Smith come in halfway through the game? Do we not see Muncy because it's a lefty again? Like what? Because Rortvedt has actually been really good as the catcher for the starters because maybe they call their own game or whatever it happens to be. But do you want your bat of Will Smith is kind of like a weird little intricacy for me.
Yeah, I want Will Smith to get as many at bats as he can. You know, if I can get him 3-4 at bats, that's what I would prefer to do. I think so. I think he's going to be the starter. The Muncy question, I do think, is a real one. Not only does he struggle against left-handed hitting or pitching, rather, he had a rough night in the field last night. I mean, I know the Pages throw from center field was sort of tough. There was a stolen base attempt at third base where it was kind of a low throw, but he couldn't squeeze that. Then he had the error on the ground ball. It was a tough night for Muncy with the glove. He also hit into a double play, sixth inning, seventh inning, with a chance to maybe do some things. So I would not be surprised, Parker, if we don't see Muncy, if it's maybe, I don't know if it's Alex Call. That was at game one, right? Alex Call was in left field. You had Kike over at third base. I mean, Parker, I think we could see that again today.
Honestly, why not? I mean, game one, I know that they went with Call because of his history against Sanchez, which is obviously a minimal history, but he does have the hits, and I believe 2 home runs in his career off of Sanchez.
Yep.
So you got that situation, and he is a solid defender. I know that the chat was saying why is Dean on this roster? He looks scared. You know what? Sometimes late game situational stuff, it gets tricky there, but I'm okay with Call starting and Muncy coming in a honestly pinch hit situation, because he actually is, when he comes into pinch hit, that is a scary at bat for the pitcher. So yeah, I'm cool with that. Even if you need to throw in Miggy Rowe if he's feeling fine, that's fine as well. There's a lot of optionality they can do here, but it's going to be all about Glasnow tonight. I know that the Dodgers hitting wasn't there yesterday, but I trust them to adjust and fix things today. And this is the Glasnow game. This is what's going to be the deciding factor, I think, in this series. I think if the Dodgers get the win, obviously they're moving on. But if the Dodgers don't win tonight, honestly, I got Phillies in 5.
Yeah, I mean, I do not want to go back to Philadelphia.
No.
If they come here, they take 2, and then they get to go back home, because that place is going to be insane. If it comes to a game 5, I'll reserve my judgment until we have to make that call. Because I originally said Dodgers in 5 anyway, but that was sort of assuming that they got 1 in Philly, maybe 1 in LA. To go 2-0 in Philly, to go 0-2 in Los Angeles potentially is a whole different animal.
That's why they're getting it done tonight.
Well,
it's happening.
I had Dodgers in 4, so that would happen today.
Yep.
But also, it's so hard to beat any one of these teams 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Look, you're not going to beat the Phillies 3 times in a row. You're not going to beat the Dodgers 3 times in a row. So that to me lends well to the Dodgers. Whether or not it's in game 4 or it's in game 5, still feel great about it. Just because they lose a couple, they took 2 in Philly. They can take a 3rd in Philly, even if the Phillies take 2 here. I still feel really good about this team. I'm hoping it's tonight, but if it's not, I think they win it on Saturday anyway.
Well, let us hope for the best today. First pitch 3:08. That's because the Cubs they're the early game, because the Cubs and Brewers are playing a little bit later, so they get the early start here from Chavez Ravine this afternoon. It'll be Tyler Glasnow going against Christopher Sanchez. We'll be back with you tomorrow to talk all about it. Ideally, fingers crossed, we are talking about the Dodgers moving on to the NLCS. But otherwise, if it comes to it, we'll set up Saturday's game instead. But in the meantime, stick around. The Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. We appreciate everybody in the chat, even you, Mr. Classic. Thanks for jumping in and participating today. Thanks to the folks at LAX, as always, for helping us get this up and on. That'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review, presented by LAX. For Parker Bell, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. Enjoy the day, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, 6:30 to 6:55. Let's go Dodgers.
See you.
See ya. Even Cappy not muting his mic.
Yeah.